Hello, my focused friends. I know you're with us today, hoping for more on this idea of focus. We've been talking about it the last couple of weeks, and man, I am fired up today to dive a little deeper into this topic. Thanks for listening. Thanks for joining us here on the show this week. A couple of weeks ago, we did introduce this topic of focus. We're talking all the time about chasing greatness, trying to maximize our influence and our opportunity, our potential, but it leads to influence. The best leaders really are not self-serving; they're serving others, and they're focused on the people around them. And they understand that when we get better, the people around us benefit from that, and it brings joy to us as well. And so, as you join us this week, you're hopping right into the middle of a conversation on focus that we've been having for a couple of weeks. Now, if you've missed any of those episodes, you can go back and get those, and I just encourage you to do that. We gave you kind of a way to think about this using the archery target. If you go back and watch just a couple of weeks ago, and we've been building on our talk from that first week, the last week, and now here week two we'll go. The first thing we said on the outer ring of that target was that we have to start with our number one goal. And so last week was all about goal setting. If you've not got a good set of goals that you're going after, I would just really highly recommend that you go back and check that out, and maybe even have somebody that you got with you that you're trying to set some goals together. You don't not really sure how to do that. Maybe a business team or something. You'll get some good ideas there from last week's episode. But thanks for getting back with us here. Today we're kind of narrowing the target a little bit, headed toward this bullseye of focus, and we're going to talk about unleashing energy toward the goal today. So I want us to really focus on that number one goal that you identified last week. Now, if you missed, again, we just had the listeners list out 5 or 6 goals. We think it's important to write them down. So much more likely to achieve something if it's written down. You've heard that before, but maybe you've never tried it. And I'm just telling you, if you will write down your goal, the longer it is, that the further out that goal is, the more you're going to need milestones to sort of help you along the way. But if you can identify your number one goal, if you were with us last week, you've got that. You brought it with you, I hope, this week for this episode. And as you think about that goal, I'm going to encourage you to unleash energy toward that goal, that number one goal. So take just a second, identify that, put it on paper. You might even write it out, or at least lock it in your mind. Maybe you're driving in your car and you can't write it out. But I just want to encourage you to get that goal in your mind and then ask yourself, what would it look like for you to unleash energy toward that goal? So I'm going to give you 5 ways that I think you can do that. And the first one is this. It goes back to something we talked about 3 or 4 weeks ago. We did a whole week on the idea of purpose. And so as you think about your purpose in life, and hopefully you've given some thought to that recently, but your purpose really is going to lead to you down this road, or to try to live into what you're trying to do. And ultimately it's going to help you. If you have a purpose, it's going to help you to achieve whatever your vision is. All of you have a vision. Hopefully you do. You're trying to do something. You have a picture of the future that's better than today. And if you can bring your energy of purpose, you really understand why it matters. Or not why it matters, but well, maybe that is a good way to say it. Why it matters. I like that. It's just like what am I trying to do, and why am I trying to do it? What is it that we're trying to accomplish, and what's the why behind that? That's all baked in purpose and vision, some of those kind of things. And so if your goal is not aligned with your vision, you're going to have a hard time staying focused on it. I guess that's maybe the best way to think about it. My goal, my number one goal, needs to be aligned with what I'm trying to do. If it's not, it's just, it probably is just going to be extra time taken away from what it is I am trying to do. So maybe that's the question for us all today. Like, what is our number one goal, and is it connected to our purpose? And if it's not, we might have the wrong number one goal. And so I just encourage you to think about that a little bit. Here's the second thing. When you not only don't want you to unleash your purpose on that goal, or that goal be linked and married to that purpose, but what would happen if you unleashed your passion on your number one goal? Now, again, this is a good way to check here. When you think about your passion, we'll talk about that in a second, but you think about your number one goal, is it rooted in your passion? Is your passion going to accelerate your you're striving to go after that, or is it going to actually inhibit you going after that because you're just going, I'm really not all that interested. It's my goal, but I'm not all that interested in that. So a good way to ask yourself is like, is this goal that you have, is it in your sweet spot? If it's not, it's going to be really hard for you to stay focused. If it is, it's gonna make it easier on yourself. And so your goals really do that you just increase your chances that you achieve what you want to if you are in your area of passion, if you're living in your sweet spot. And you say, well, how do I know if I'm in my sweet spot or not? Maybe you've thought through that. You know what your passion area is. You might ask some people around you. They probably can tell you. But here's just as simple as I know how to ask, like what brings you energy? That's your passion area. Does it put energy into you? Whatever it is, even as you think about that number one goal, that'd be a good place to start. Does it put energy into you when you think about going after it? Is it kind of neutral, or does it really drain you when you think about going after this goal? If it's draining to you, it's not lined up with your passion, and perhaps you should reconsider your goal again. So we want to unleash our passion toward that. So as you think about your passion areas in life, they're the areas that fulfill you. They're the areas where you're effective. Where when you live in this area or you lead in this area, there's strength that comes out. Others see that. That's the third thing, really. There's affirmation of the people around you. And where the affirmation is, where the life is in you, and where the effectiveness is, those areas are a really good indicator of your passion. And so if you can bring that to your goals, oh my goodness, you're going to really, you're going to knock it out of the park. But if you're struggling with your passion, you might want to reconsider your goals. Because it's going to really be hard to stay focused. Now, it doesn't mean there's going to be things you're going to have to do that are hard. They're goals, and I got that. But don't make it harder on yourself than you have to. Having your passion, because that's a major part of your energy, your purpose and your passion. That's energy you can bring to attack this goal. And if you can line those things up, you're going to be well on your way. Here's the third one. I'll call this one your positivity. I got a bunch of P's here for you today. Your positivity. It's your mindset. We talked about mindset, when it comes to setting goals, just a little bit a couple of weeks ago, or when it comes to focus, just a little bit. But I want you to think specifically today about your attitude and your positivity. And I want you to understand that your mindset, your positivity, or your negativity is going to do one of two things. It's either going to your attitude. I'll say it this way: your attitude is either going to be on your team or it's going to be on the other team. So what are you talking about? Well, you've got a goal that you're going after, and if your attitude is positive, it automatically joins your team, and you're going to go into attack mode. But if you look at that thing and you're already building a case why this is going to be hard, and my circumstances, I don't have enough resources, and I don't have enough people, and I don't have enough, and it's just this constant negative narrative that you're building against yourself, that's going to go and join the other team, and it's going to be really hard for you to achieve what it is you're trying to do, because you're fighting not only against the task or the project or whatever it is that's there is that goal, but you also fighting against yourself and the voice in your own head and heart. And so, there's just nothing harder than to allow your emotions to play on the other team against you. And we might even do a whole episode on this at some point, but how many people do I know that they are, rather than leading themselves effectively, they're actually forfeiting to themselves and allowing their attitude to be on the other team? It is so hard to fight not only against the circumstances, but to allow your emotions to get on the team of the circumstances. It makes it almost impossible to win that battle. So your purpose, your passion, your positivity, all those things are energy that you can unleash on your number one goal, and really any of your goals, really any of your life. These things are all kind of life things as well. But if we've been thinking about focusing the last couple of weeks on our number one goal, it's just huge. Here's another one. I think our persistence, that's a part of our energy. We can bring our very best, and our resilience, our persistence, like we just keep on. They're a little different. Resilience is when we're Teflon. We kind of let things just kind of roll off and they don't stop us. Persistence just means we don't stop. We just keep going after it day after day after day after day. And so when I think about unleashing energy on my number one goal, the way we said it, and we'll talk more specifically about time next week, but we've got to unleash our energy, our time, our persistence on that goal every single day. There needs to be some kind of little baby step that I'm taking every day. And that persistence it's every day. It's just not on our schedule. It's like every day. Persistence over and over and over again until we knock that goal off the list and we achieve that, and then we move on to something else, which is great. But if it's big enough and important enough, it's just vital that we keep on. We don't forfeit. We don't quit. It's not something that we would yield on if it's our number one goal. And so if there's a place where you've just kind of taken your eye off the ball, or you've gotten just a little bit tired, maybe. I mean, that happens all the time, and our energy wanes. Maybe this week is a week for you to re-up when you think about energy, your persistence is one of those tools that you have. It's just like a weapon that will help you in this battle toward overcoming those goals. So let's stay persistent. And then the last one I would say is, this is a huge energy thing, or it can be very energizing. It's people. It's people. It's so important to ask yourself, who could help me achieve this goal? Now, last week I mentioned if you have a goal at work, especially a professional goal, it's real easy to say, okay, that would be something that I need a team of people, or somebody to help me. But maybe you have some personal goals. I mean, again, I mentioned you can't delegate. I'm trying to read this many books, or I'm trying to run a marathon, and let's say I'm trying to run a marathon in 3.5 hours. I can't just go hire somebody to go run the marathon for me. I mean, that's not what I'm talking about. But is there something right now that you have a goal, maybe a personal goal, or maybe it is a professional goal, that you need some people around you? Maybe there's a project or something you're trying to create, and there's really very few things that can compete with having a group of people achieve something together, and knowing that you have something, maybe it's your goal, but you've got some people around you that can help you. I think about that all the time. I got great people around me that are helping me with all kinds of stuff. Like this podcast wouldn't even happen if it weren't for other people. All I do is sit here and talk, but there are people who do all the video stuff. There are people who do the sound stuff. There are people who help with the writing stuff that we send out to you, and all the email stuff. I mean, all that stuff happens because other people are helping me to accomplish my goals. And so I'm so grateful for them. Shout out to the team there. You guys are awesome. But do you need somebody on your team that can help you with some of the goals that you're trying to achieve? I think there's just nothing better than bringing people, the energy of other people. And the more people you put on something, the more likelihood you are that that's going to be accomplished. And so, again, let's review here. We're talking about focus. We're talking about starting with our number one goal on the outside of that target that we gave you a couple of weeks ago. Now we're into this idea of not only just starting with our number one goal, but unleashing our energy toward that goal. So what is your goal? What is your number one thing you're trying to do between now and the end of the year, between now and the end of next year? Go 18 months out even. What is the number one thing you're trying to do? And as you think about that, you've got to unleash your energy. It comes in the form of your purpose. If it's not aligned with your vision and really what you're trying to accomplish, you might have the wrong number one goal. You might want to reconsider that. If your passion is not there, it's not something that you're going to feel alive with. You're going to bring your strength to. Again, might have the wrong number one goal. But purpose and passion are really important. Your positivity, no matter what your goal is, even if you're perfectly lined up in your sweet spot and you're perfectly lined up within your vision, your passion, or your purpose, and what you're trying to accomplish, if your positivity is fighting on the other team because it's negative, I mean, you just, like, the circumstances have gotten hard, I've let my emotions go to the opposition here. And instead of being on my team and that positive mindset. I mean, I know so many great leaders. They're great, I think, because they just believe they're going to be great, and they're just going to have this great positive attitude no matter what. I love that. I think it's just huge secret weapon that we have. And then the other two pieces of energy we talked about today is just your persistence. Like, we just keep on day after day after day. Every day you're putting some time on it. Again, we're going to talk about that more in depth next week. We'll go a little deeper on that. But bringing your persistence over and over and over again toward that number one goal until it falls to the ground. It's like, it's done. And then finally, the bigger that goal, perhaps the more you need to bring the energy of people. Are there some people around who can help you with your goals? Some of the things that are not happening because you don't really have the help that you need to make it happen. And your goal, honestly, might be bigger than yourself. I hope it is. I hope you have goals that are bigger than you are. I have so many goals. There's no way I'll be able to accomplish them without the people around me. And so I just want to challenge you to unleash your energy toward your number one goal, and frankly, all your other goals as well. I mean, all of our goals, we need to be bringing our best to those. We need to stay persistent, bring the help we need around us, make sure it's aligned with our purpose and our passion, and then finally, make sure our emotions, or maybe not finally, but make sure our emotions are on our team, helping us to honestly chase greatness. It's just so cool when we get there. So make somebody else great this week, and we'll see you next week. We're going to talk next week about how we use our time specifically on these goals. Got some really cool stuff for you, some good ideas, and some things that will be helpful. I hope you'll share this with somebody. Somebody out there who really, they care about their life. They're trying to be great as well. Hopefully this would add some value to them as they think about unleashing their energy toward that bullseye target that we're focused on right now. So stay focused this week. We'll see you next week, and make a difference in somebody's life. You've got greatness in you. Let's unleash it this week. We'll see you next week.